Details at the forefront. He talks about them every day.
Yes, Mike Smith is impressed with what the head coach has been able to pull out of this Oiler group. I think this Oiler group is feeling the exact same about Mike Smith right about now. Welcome to Got Yer Back, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. Nobody puts in wood, windows, or siding anymore, so we ask you, why would you build a wood fence or deck? Do it once with high-quality, maintenance-free vinyl. If you've got a project on the horizon this spring and summer, give my brothers, Rick or Rob, a call at DLR Vinyl Products, locations in both Calgary and Edmonton. Today on the show, has Jay Woodcroft done enough to earn himself that full-time NHL contract? I certainly think so. But what are they waiting for? We will ask Struddy his opinion. In our Park Mazda breakdown, Dregs and Duthie stop by. Maybe we'll play a little game show action, talk a little hockey, that courtesy Belvan Construction. And in our DeBoer's Golf Shop Who's Got Your Back segment, Elks DB Aaron Grymes.
So my man had my back, and I'll forever have his back for that too.
Yes, he will tell us who saved his bacon big time when he was a forgetful young rookie at his first camp. Presented by DLR Vinyl Products, this is Got Your Back. Welcoming in the man, Jason Strudwick, and out in Kelowna, Basement Chris Sabunia. Struddy, is it just me, or do we have some renovations going on behind Zuby there? Mm-hmm. I see some studs. I see some...
Pretty impressive. What is that, 12-inch gap, or what are you using? A classic 10-inch? What do you put between those studs?
I think the fellow who came in here and did it for me said he was doing 12 because he was matching the ceiling joists as they're set up here. Maybe they're 16. He's matching the joist because we're moving the insulation from the ceiling down into the walls because the ceiling's getting proper soundproofing. So,
oh, wow.
So I won't be able to hear, the kids won't be able to hear me yakking down here, and I won't be able to hear them stomping their feet at dinner time or whatever. Or hopefully not. Hopefully I'm there for dinner, but maybe at breakfast time, I guess.
See, part of what I liked about having, the shot that we had with you, Chris, was it was kind of rustic. It was kind of rough. It's like we're looking at pink insulation and cement walls and studs. It was kind of like it really gave this feel like you were down to work and very industrial. I don't think I want you to finish that back corner of your basement because I think it's going to mess with the look of the show. So are you willing and open to the idea of not finishing that back wall?
I'll tell you what I'm willing to do. I'm willing to take a photo of this as it is and get it printed on on like a screen that I'll drop down in the back. It'll be the true illusion of a high budget television to have that to have that background there.
I love it. I think it looks good. I think it's just, step by step. I love seeing a base in Remo that takes about 5 months. So I look forward to being ready next fall.
Your timeline is not far off. That's not far off. I think, it will because we're not, he's not quite finished doing the studs. He's going to come back, I think, this weekend. Then I got the electrician. Then they're coming back again. Yeah. So I don't think the full job is happening until June. So yeah, it is going to be next fall.
Yeah.
But it'll be done.
Struds doesn't know what any of that stuff is. So you're not speaking the same language as him. Struds, by the way, are you and I going to discuss and try and work our way through what happened on Gregor's show yesterday? The two of us?
Yeah, I think that I was misunderstood. I actually went back and listened to it, and my explanation was clear. It was so for those who didn't hear it, I was talking about how Yamamoto was hit, between his foot, so like his foot here and his leg, and you jumped in. Oh, it's called the ankle. Well, technically, in strictest of terms, yes, it is the ankle area, but it's the front, kind of the hot part where the laces are. That's where the pain really came in for, I think, Yamamoto.
So just so you know, Chris, Struds and I are doing a radio hit yesterday with Jason Gregor, and he's talking about Yamamoto blocking the shot. Now, Struds, you described that in a way that makes it sound way less hilarious than what you actually said. But through the magic of our Average Joe's sound box, we're actually going to be able to go to the video or go to the audio tape. Zuby, Here is what Struddy said, and you tell me if this is as funny as I thought it was, because what happened after this was about a minute and a half of laughing on the air that I couldn't stop.
Like getting in with the foot, but kind of where that your foot and your leg kind of meet, that where it bends, and I take it there.
That's called your ankle, Struds. I'm not sure.
But on the front, not on the side, just kind of
like
that
on part on your body. You know, guys, that part on your body where your foot and your leg meet, you know, that area that kind of bends.
Yeah. So, you know, I'll just reiterate that I was in pre-med when I was in Kamloops playing for the Blazers at Okanagan College of the Caribou. I was in pre-med for 2 years. So I think of the three of us, I have the authority to describe what a body area is or not.
What do you think, Zuby?
I was going to say it was a good. Well, that's funny that you came with that, Struds, because I didn't know that, but that's what I say. You know, you shouldn't need a doctor to come up with that very technical term about the area where the foot meets the leg.
Your foot and your leg kind of meet, that where it bends, and I take it there.
That's called your ankle, Struds. I'm not sure.
Tough. It was a tough afternoon.
You got rattled too. Were you mad? Because Gregor and I were killing ourselves laughing. Yeah. We could barely get it together. Yeah, and then you sounded mad. I was unsure because I couldn't see your face like I can now.
I don't get rattled about things like that. But when you're flying at like 40,000 feet like I am in the doctor's world, you kind of, sometimes you have to, just slow it down for others that are not in that pre-med world.
Yeah. Well, thanks for dummying that one down for the world, Struds. You really, really dummied that one down in a
You nailed it.
All right. Lots to break down for the Oilers here, Chris. So we'll check in with you a little bit later on. Struddy, it's time to get to the breakdown, brought to you by Park Mazda, where the newly redesigned 2022 CX-5 has arrived. Check out the brand new all-wheel drive sport design trim with its turbocharged engine and see the available colors and trims in stock at parkmazda.ca. I want to get into a discussion about Jay Woodcroft and where the contract situation is at and where it might be going. Let's do that in a minute, Struds. But first, I think we have to talk about and acknowledge what Mike Smith is doing and just how good he has been. Back-to-back shutouts. It's been a long time since someone his age pulled something like that off. You go back to Martin Brodeur. Do you think that Mike Smith is going to be able to keep this up? And if he is, what does it mean for the Oilers in the first round of the playoffs?
Well, let's talk about his style of play. The first thing I've noticed, and I'll qualify this by saying I'm not a goalie expert, but I know as a D-man what I like to see. And I like to see a calm presence in the net. And I think Mike Smith has really been very efficient in the way he's playing right now. I think when he first came back from the injury, let's just call it January 1st, just to make it simple. I thought there was a lot of excess movement, a lot of movement all over the place. Now it seems he's very efficient. He's in the right place, and oftentimes, he's making saves that they look easy. They look more routine, and that's very calming for a defenseman and up to the forwards as well. And there's many people didn't think he could get to this level this year. So I think when you look at him, what he's got to and how he's playing, I do think he's locked in. And this isn't a 22-year-old goalie who's been called up to the NHL for the first time, who's having a nice run. This is someone who knows what it feels like, who knows how to carry himself and be ready for these games. So this isn't just, in my mind, a 1 or 2 game stretch that's good. He's had a good run, Shocker, for quite a while. So yes, I do believe he is a guy that can carry this forward into the last 6 games and then into the playoffs.
So, I mean, in all of this with the caveat that if he can stay healthy, because that's been a big issue for him all year, but he's on a nice little run here and he looks good. The thing I notice in his game, I mean, you notice this in his game all the time, but even more so, and maybe it's because of the severe ups and downs that he's been faced with this year, but I was watching him in net the other night, and man, does he ever have some swagger in there. The way he's making saves, like those pads, the way he was firing those pads out, like his feet were so good the other night. Then that glove save where he reaches out and grabs it and kind of just gives her the old, like holds it up in the air, like, look what I got, everybody. Yeah. This is the same guy that when he was getting the Bronx cheer from the crowd, put his hand up in the air. I listened to his media availabilities. Like Mike Smith is uber dialed in right now, and he's got some serious swagger and confidence in his game. And when you're playing as well as he is right now, that just looks good on you. He looks like he's got serious mojo right now. And you can't say that about a lot of goalies in this same way that you can say it about Mike Smith, can you?
He's a fighter. He's a fighter. I think back to a guy like Patrick Roy who, had a similar temperament, right? He wanted to kind of show you up. He was intense and he was challenging people, both on his team and on the other team. And Mike, he brings all those things. So, when you look through the Oilers lineup, with Mike Smith feeling this way, I think that's a big bonus. I think you can agree that Mikko is also feeling good about himself, expresses it way differently than Mike Smith. Not Patrick Kane. Evander Kane brings a lot of swagger to this team. He's a very cocky player. When he skates around, he challenges guys physically. What we said he did to, against the Minnesota Wild the other night.
Yep.
You look, Connor and Leon, they don't lack confidence. I think Darnell Nurse is a very confident player. So you're starting to see players that have confidence through the lineup. Even a Fogle, he's starting to see himself feel good about himself. I think Hyman's a pretty confident player. Puljujärvi's doing a lot of good things. If he can score, he gets some confidence. So it's one thing to have a goalie feeling good about himself. You want to have that expressed through different players throughout the lineup and not just your top players. Cody Ceci, he's feeling good about himself. I think Chris Russell should be feeling very good about himself the last 2 games, a big hit, a big goal. So, it's great that the goalie's feeling it, but Schauger, it's got to be expressed through the lineup, that confidence, that swagger heading into the playoffs.
I don't know many teams where a goaltender can set that tone, though. And I think that's my point in that, goalies are just there to stop pucks for the most part. Do your job, stop pucks. And hopefully at the end of the night, they're not talking about, the bad one that you let in. But for Mike Smith, and maybe it's because he's different than other goalies. He comes flying out of the net to make these unbelievable plays. He, has that boisterous attitude in there. After the game, when the buzzer goes, that celebration he does, the way the team responds to him. There's something different there. And then you hear stories about him being really vocal in the locker room. What's your experience with goaltenders being vocal in the locker room, Struddy? Because it sounds like Mike Smith is not afraid to say what needs to be said between periods.
Well, that is his personality, right? He's a very confident and passionate guy, intense. I don't recall playing with a lot of goalies that would chime in. I think when we had a team meeting that they'd feel more comfortable to talk. But generally speaking, in that moment, the goalies are focused on their own job, right? It's pretty rare for them to comment about, whatever, a lack of back checking or let's be better on the power play or whatever it is, unless they're really, really pissed off. So you're right. That is very unique that in today's game, a guy that I could somewhat compare to is Bennington in St. Louis. He kind of challenges the other team more. We've seen him kind of fake hit guys and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he does that to fire his team up or he's just pissed off or whatever, but he seems to have that same fire. But you're right. Mike Smith, for him, the biggest thing is continue to play the way he is and to breathe confidence into his team about the goalie's play, not just his, but Mikko's play. And if that's something they can settle down, it allows everyone else to kind of go and play their game the way they want to, which is, attacking and being really good on the other end of the puck or at the end of the rink with their play.
Okay, let's transition to Jay Woodcroft here. The contract situation, listen, are the Oilers going to put a deal in place for him? I put the question out there on Twitter last night, did a Twitter poll from our Got Yer Back Twitter feed, basically saying, has Jay Woodcroft done enough to earn a long-term deal? Yes, no, ask me after the playoffs. So we're, a few 350 votes here or so. 92% say yes. 2% say no, and 6% say ask me after the playoffs. Now, my sense, and I reported on this yesterday, Struddy, is that the organization's going to slow play this a little bit. Things can change, but my sense is in this moment, nothing is going to get done ahead of the playoffs, that they'll wait for the full body of work to be in and then evaluate everything and make the call at that point. I'll give you my opinion. I don't know what else you necessarily need to see from Jay Woodcroft. And there are a lot of potential coaching vacancies in the league next season. And I think he probably would have gotten attention from some executives around the league. And if somebody gets aggressive and really likes what they see, you never know what can happen. Would make sense to me to get ahead of this, but I'm not sure that's the way the organization is going to go. What are your thoughts on what Woodcroft has done and if a contract is on the way or should be?
Woodcroft has come in and he's really challenge the way that the players do things and ask them to be more detailed in the way they approach the game. That is DE, goalies, and forwards, everybody, the specialty teams, 5-on-5 play, everything. He's done a great job. He's very detailed in the way he works it through. I do think he should be the coach of Oilers next year. I don't think there should be any conversation about contracts until the playoff run is over. To me, it's a distraction. Woodcroft is focused right now on his team. He's not worried about next year. He in the back of his head or mind, he has to know he's earned the right to coach an NHL team. You look at what he's done. He started out as basically like the water boy and then worked his way up all the way to assistant coach in the NHL, went down, understanding he had to be a head coach in the AHL, and then promoted up to the NHL. So he's
17 years.
Yeah, it's earned the right to be a head coach. And now he's doubling down by the way he's running this team. He's done a great job. He and Dave Manson both have done a great job with this team. But it makes no sense to me approaching his agent, approaching him, say, Woody, let's get a contract done now. You're worried only about winning right now. And I think Woodcroft is only focused on that. So, does it change the negotiation if the Oilers win 2 playoff rounds?
Yes.
Or does it change? You think it does?
Yeah. Well, I think you're costing your owner money. I think, I think if Jay Woodcroft gets to the 3rd round with this team, a 3-year deal for him suddenly looks different than it does in this moment.
But how much different are you talking? Like, is he a $5 million coach? I don't believe he is.
Yeah. Right.
So you're right. You're costing your owner money, but there is zero implication cap wise. And right now, for me, the disruption it would create for him trying to get a contract done right now when his team is trying to peak at the right time, I think it'd be the wrong approach. And Holland, if we've learned anything about Ken Holland over the last 100 years he's been in the NHL, he's a calm, patient man. So I think that's the approach I would use. I'd say, Woody, do your best. We're going to talk to you after the season. We do want to sign you. Let's talk after we're done.
Yeah. And I think if they make that intention clear, we do want to sign you.
Right.
Let's talk after you're done. I think you put everybody's mind at ease a little bit. I think there's a synergy between this coach and this organization, right? When they moved on from Todd McClellan, they recognized in a lot of ways what they had in Woodcroft. They provided him the opportunity that everybody knew he needed. And I'm sure he's appreciative of that to a degree. He went down there, made the best of it. They brought him up at a time when I don't know that he would have gotten any other looks as a head coach in the NHL. At the time, I think the Oilers were the one team that probably in that moment would have been willing to give him this look. And man, it's a good thing they did because he's absolutely knocked it out of the park. The one thing I'll say, Struds, is that, what if the Oilers lose in the first round of the playoffs? And I wonder if that thought is hanging out there for the decision makers on this front. Do you think it should change anything if the Oilers were to lose in the first round of the playoffs as far as Woodcroft's future?
I don't think it does. I mean, when you look at the way this team has improved, the details of their game have been off the charts, right? And this is an indictment on Tippett. This is more of a celebration's a bit dramatic, but a real
acknowledgement.
Thank you. Acknowledgement of what Woodcroft and Manson have done. We've seen improvement in all areas of their game. So if they get into the first round and they lose, does that mean that what he accomplished in the whatever let's call it, just 40 games of the regular season, does that lower that value? I don't think it does. What he's done has been incredible. When I see the way the team's playing, just go back to the game the other day, Saturday against Vegas. Did Vegas have their best thing? Maybe, maybe not. But I think that dismisses what the Oilers did, the way they played, the way that they were able to put their style of game on Vegas, and Vegas wasn't able to get it done. So I don't think it changes that, because if you say we don't want Woodcroft after what he's accomplished, show me the coach that is going to bring that same level of detail and that improvement in their club that is all right, current or will be a free agent. You don't know the man. You don't know the coach. You don't know his history. You know everything about Woodcroft. And I just think at this point, I don't believe whatever happens in playoffs affects this negotiation at all.
Okay. So, and I'm not trying to trap you here. If we can agree that whatever happens in the playoffs doesn't matter, then why not sign him now? It's not going to be a tough negotiation.
Right.
It's not. Get in touch with his agent. Say, look, we're going to put a 3-year deal on the table, couple $1 million, which, by the way, what an amazing turn for Jay Woodcroft. If you think about how long he's worked for this, to come up and have this success and likely to be staring at a multi-year, multi-million-dollar I mean, that's just life-changing for any of us. It would be, and certainly for Woodcroft, and good for him. But if we can agree, it doesn't matter what happens in the playoffs, and I echo that sentiment. If the Oilers lose in the first round, it's going to be more about the players than I think it is about the coach. I don't think this staff is getting out-coached, and if they do, I think it'll be marginal.
Yeah.
So why not get it done? We hear all the time guys that end up coming into situations and lots of success. And to me, there's another way to look at this, Struds. You're hurtling down the stretch, you're heading to the playoffs, and the Oilers announce a 3-year contract for Jay Woodcroft as he's about to enter into his first playoffs. It sends a signal to the room. Everything that's been going on is exactly what is needed. It sends a signal to Woodcroft. It solidifies him. It takes that question out of his mind, that pressure. I think it can go the other way and help things. And if the playoffs don't matter in terms of the decision, there's an argument to be made to just get it done, isn't there?
No, I don't think so. And I'll tell you this. Do you think that him signing a contract helps the team win? Because I don't get the sense from Woodcroft that he wants anything involved in his life and his team other than things that help them win. So does it help the team win?
Players sign extensions midstream all the time. But
not,
there's business that needs to be done separate from the day-to-day goings on the ice. Now, if it's a tough, contentious negotiation, I don't think it will be. I think when the agent and the team talk, I think it's going to be pretty simple. The Oilers, I think, just need to make that decision, to take that step. I think it sets things, it bakes it in a different way. McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Nugent Hopkins, these guys on long-term deals, it just sets it in for everybody. Your success is going to be directly tied to this guy. No more question about it. He's in. He's locked in. So as much buy-in as there is right now, bake it in even more by sending the signal, this guy has the answers, and we believe he does. I think that now, if it's a tough negotiation and it's not easy right away, then you back away and you say, hey, okay, we'll talk in the offseason. Clearly, there's some things we got to discuss here. But I just don't think it's going to be that difficult. And I think, I don't know. I think there are some benefits to getting it done.
When's the last time a coach signed an extension with 6 games to go before a very important playoff run?
Yeah, good question. And I'm not I don't have the recall to remember that. I don't think it's completely unprecedented, though, for a replacement coach to get re-up. When did Ducharme get re-up before that Stanley Cup? I can't remember, but it's a fair point, Freddie.
It worked out really well. But when I look at it, the whole thing, like I just honestly, it is a distraction that is unneeded.
Yep.
Like, would Calgary go now and try to negotiate with Johnny Gaudreau 5 games before the playoffs? Like it doesn't help you win. It doesn't change anything that's going on. And you listen to Woodcroft, when I hear him talking, he's always about, we're trying to get better every day. We're trying to improve. Like, he never says, I'm looking ahead to next year. He just is always right in the moment. And honestly, for Woodcroft, I'd be like, you know what? And you kind of said it earlier, the further I go, the better it is for me. So let's just, and I think there's a good enough working relationship. Woodcroft's been around a long time. So is Holland. You just say, we're trying to win right now. And then the second it's over, you can sit down and get it ironed out. But to me, it's all about the winning. It's all, like, I wouldn't try to sign Kulak to a deal right now either. But those are different types of decisions, though. Player decisions are different in this moment. Still distractions.
If it's a tough negotiation, it can be a distraction. I agree. I agree. And that's why, unrestricted free agents and those guys, you don't dig into that right before the postseason. I just don't think this is going to be tough. I think once negotiations start, it's going to be real quick and simple and probably fairly obvious to all parties where it all has to land. I asked Jay Woodcroft, I was kind of needling him a little bit yesterday, because I get asked all the time by people out there and on Twitter, like, what's happening with Woodcroft and what's happening, is he going to be here long term? But this is not a topic that he's going to want to talk about. I still wanted and needed to ask him about it. I talked about it on SportsCenter yesterday. And I liked his answer. I basically, I asked him about this opportunity and what it means to him. And if you listen to his answer, Struddy, it was very consistent with the way he answers all of the questions that he gets asked that are bigger picture. He focuses it down. He's a humble man and doesn't want the focus to be on him.
I think it's important to be even-keeled and stay present. It's hard to do sometimes, especially if you haven't won in a while. The noise gets louder and louder. But sometimes when you've won a lot, and the noise gets loud and loud, and you have to make sure that you're grounded in a certain type of way. And as I said, I'm just trying to model that behavior for the rest of the team.
So when he's talking about the noise getting louder and louder, what he's talking about with success is the noise about him and his success and the potential for a contract. That noise is very loud right now, but his philosophy is you got to stay grounded in the day-to-day. He believes if he's asking his players to do that, he absolutely has to do it himself. And that's why he answered the question that way. I think that answer, if the players heard it, would probably resonate with them.
100%. It's, I go back to my previous statement is that right now, this team, their goal isn't personal. They're not looking to sign contracts for next year, the coaches included. They're focused solely on this next game, this next six game stretch, getting ready and peaking for the playoffs. It would be unacceptable to not win a round. That would be unacceptable for this group. And not in my eyes, not in your eyes, not in the fan eyes, in their own eyes. It is time to start pushing deeper into the playoffs. So they're solely focused on that. And you hear the way the players talk, the coaches talk, everybody who talks, that's all they're you can tell they're just worried about that. So like, I understand what you're asking and what you're saying here with Woodcroft. But to me, it is an unnecessary distraction at a point in the year where they need to be 100% focused on winning a round. Like, it would be a disappointment for that player, that team, that coaching staff if they don't get it done.
The other point I want to make about their decision in this moment, if you picture Jay Woodcroft right now and the coach that he is right now, that's not the coach you're thinking about hiring right now. You're not hiring Jay Woodcroft in this moment. You're hiring the Jay Woodcroft that will have gone through the experience of an NHL playoffs, whichever way it goes. If it goes great and he has success, you're paying for making a decision now on that Jay Woodcroft who just went through a successful playoff run. What's that value look like? If it doesn't go well, you're paying for the Jay Woodcroft in the here and now, who will learn from the mistakes that are made. The one thing I'll say is that if the Oilers lose in the first round of the playoffs, Jay Woodcroft and Dave Manson will tear things apart looking for answers as to why. Other more veteran coaches that have been around a really long time might not be as willing to look in the mirror and go, what was my part in that mess? So one way or another, Jay Woodcroft is going to be better at the start of next season than he is right now. And think about how good he is right now, Struddy.
Yeah, no, he's learning on the go. I mean, this is a guy with a lot of experience coaching, just not a lot of head coaching experience in the NHL. Yep. So I think that he's pretty self-aware what's going on. And let's keep in mind, the general manager, Ken Holland, did not go with what would be the more safe approach, which was Glenn Gullickson. He was right there. Glenn Gullickson was there. And, they did not go with Glenn Gullickson. And he is the guy. He was sitting there ready to be used. He'd have his own ideas as well. He'd been there for a long time. They went to the unknown, which is Jay Woodcroft. So I think that tells you what they think of Woodcroft. So, I look at this situation. This is a discussion for me that is parked. You park it until after the playoffs are over, whenever that is. And win or lose in the playoffs, for me, Woodcroft is a guy that comes back.
You think there's any curiosity about what some of these other interim coaches do and who else might be available? What's going to happen in Florida? He's been really good there. Burnett has. And what happens if there's we're not sure what's going to happen, on a few fronts with Quenneville and staff. Like, do you think there's any curiosity on the Oilers to see who might spring loose in all of this?
You have a guy that you have a guy who has a track record with this team very long. You know everything about him intimately, and you've seen what he's done with this team. He knows the players. He had the systems in place. They've had success. So, if you're going somewhere else, you're bringing someone you don't know. You don't maybe have a personal relationship. Doesn't know the players. Like Andrew Burnett, I think he's a good young coach. Does he know Connor McDavid? Does he know Leon Draisaitl? All these things. So the Oilers, starting over again. Another coach starting over again. I mean, how many times are we going to play this game where, how many coaches can you get in a decade? at some point you have to think this is your guy. Now, if you want, maybe do you look at, changing some assistant coaches? Is that up for conversation? A different look to the staff. I'm not saying Gully and Wiseman are not doing a good job, but maybe that's a conversation that you have with Woodcroft. I don't know how he feels about these guys, but to bring in another new voice, I mean,
I know.
I at some point you got to say this is our guy.
You're right. So say it. So say it and send that message to him and the world and put your stamp on it and get her done. We agree. No matter what happens in the playoffs, they should sign him. He's gotten everything that any other coach and more has gotten out of this particular group. His top players are flourishing under him. Their 5-on-5 game is better. He handles the media well. His communication skills are good. There's a part of me that just says, what are you waiting for? But we're going to agree to disagree on that one. Yeah. I love when we do that. It's a couple podcasts in a row now. I want to dig in a little bit on this detail and this structure and exactly what he has brought. Let's let Mike Smith describe it.
Details at the forefront. He talks about them every day, and he preaches on them. And it's the little things that mean so much in games that he is all in on. And when you can get all your players on board with the details of the game, the back pressure, the gaps, the putting pucks behind, the little things that add up over the course of the game, over the course of the season, that's a big reason why we've had success here with Woody.
Okay, so Mike Smith impressed with the level of detail. He sits there in net and watches it all unfolding in front of him. He would feel that attention to detail as much as anybody, just in the quality and danger of chances that he's presented with. So I was at practice yesterday, and for the people who are watching this podcast, you'll be able to see this video. Just a real simple drill that Jay Woodcroft rolled out, Struddy. And I know you saw this too. He approaches every practice with purpose, with a plan, ran this drill yesterday that focused in on one of the most important details that he has brought, which is if the forwards come back and help, it makes the defensemen's lives so much easier. Maybe describe what you saw in this drill and how we're seeing that as a core fundamental resonate in games.
So this drill, it's a 1-on-2, and basically what it is, it's not so much for the offensive player to try to beat two players. What it is, it's a drill encouraging your defensemen to feel when they have the back pressure from a forward and they can stand up. And it's a great drill. I haven't seen it before, but I love the idea. I will be stealing it. I don't know if I'll call it the Woodcroft. We'll see if he gets signed or not to the extension in the next 6 games. But, I really like the way that it gets so what's happening is the forwards coming up the ice, the back checking forwards trying to angle that forward off to the wall. Then that encourages the D-man to stand up and push him off at the blue line. And when you do that, you snuff out those offensive rushes. It is so frustrating for a forward because you get boxed in. You're like, where am I supposed to go? The only choice you have is to dump it in. And at the end of the day, if you do that, that's fine. The other partner will go get it. But this drill, I love this drill. I love the simplicity, but I love the message it says to the D. Stand up and contest the lines. If not the red line, contest the blue line. Make it hard for them to get into our zone. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, no, it was good. It stood out to me. I was watching it going, they're doing a 1-on-2 here. Like you don't see this very often. But I think when you watch the Oilers play against Dallas on Wednesday night, for a sign that they're buying into the system that Woodcroft has there, watch the number of times that Dallas will come through the neutral zone, and they'll either be, depending on where the D-men are, they're trying to get to the red line for the dump in, and Oiler blue liners stand up and get sticks in their way so that they just can't get that line. Or on the blue line, when you got forwards back checking hard enough, it gives a defenseman confidence to stay up and not give up space in front of them to gain the line. We talked about Jeremy Kupal and the great job he did on the review of that goal on Mike Smith. Was it the Nashville game? But an equally good job. Go back and look at that goal and look at the play at the blue line. I think it was Cody Ceci. He stood up on the play and he had a stick out right at the blue line. It doesn't do you as much good if you're 5 feet inside the blue line and fighting for pucks there. Yeah. Struds, that moment at that blue line where the offense attacks and the defense meets them, it's got to be on the right side of the blue line. And Woodcroft is trying to design his system to allow them to do that.
Yeah, they are. And for D-man, and people say, well, stand up at the blue line. It's a lot of things. It's a slow dance between the forward coming back and the D-man standing up. There's got to be a relationship there. And I can tell you, when you have those guys back pressuring and you see someone maybe with a stick on that guy, you're like, I'm going to stand up. The worst thing that happens is the puck gets by me or the guy gets by me. I still got my partner beside me and I've got this back pressure guy. So it's not going to be a breakaway. When you're trying to stand up, just imagine when you're standing up to Connor McDavid and there's no back pressure and he's flying at you. Do you think any D-men that, other than maybe Cale Makar and the best skaters in the league are going to be like, yeah, I'll stand up here? You just start skating back. You're like, I'm going to try to block this shot. That's all I'm trying to do. So it is such a simple thing, but it's so hard for defensemen to do it. And you need to keep encouraging them to get up and to narrow that gap and to confront at the blue lines.
So as a defenseman, I almost think it's almost like an instinct thing, like a point of pride. Mm-hmm. It looks a lot worse for a D-man to get beat wide than it does for him to have backed in a little too far and allowed a shot. Right? So think about those two options. If you stand up and you don't have support around you, you're at risk of getting beat wide, and that's a bad look for a D-man. It's a lot more comfortable to just back away and keep the play in front of you where you still have a choice. So I would imagine the difference between sensing help versus taking that risk of being exposed, that's got to be almost a subconscious thing for a D-man.
It does, and you've heard the players talk about and Woodcroft as well. We want to play connected. Let's play connected. So connected means that when you watch it on TV, you can see at least 4, maybe 5 players in the screen. That means that both the forwards are coming back in their own zone, but also the D-men are moving up the ice. So you're really squeezing the ice so it's smaller, and the other team doesn't have as much room to make plays. So it works both ways. If the forwards are going to back check, the D-men have to stand up. But when it's going the other way and now the forwards are attacking, the D-men better get their asses up the ice because they got to support the forwards in the same way.
All right, we got deep into the muck today. Strategy, tactics. I'm not sure if that was a good podcasting segment or not, but I just find it interesting. He's asking these things of them.
Yeah, I love it.
And we're seeing them in practice and we're seeing them on the ice. That was the breakdown, brought to you by Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road. Visit parkmazda.ca. So you're straight up thieving that drill. Hey, are you going to go do that in practice today with the kids?
I am tonight. I love it. The idea of squeezing from the forward and the D-men standing up, it's a beautiful thing.
I had a drill named after me in Kamloops. Hey,
what was that?
It wasn't good, buddy. No, it wasn't the horseshoe. I am not the originator of the horseshoe. No, they called it the Reese Drill. So we were playing in a game, and I got the puck inside my own blue line. Mm-hmm. And I think we were down a goal, and I was just like head down, just hacking it square.
Sure.
And at the far end, streaking across the offensive blue line was one of our defensemen, Aaron Keller.
Yeah.
And he was like, I went back and looked at the replay. He was like wide open, and there was this huge gap between the D-men, and he slid through this gap looking at me, and the whole building was like, oh, he's open, like full breakaway pass. I did not pick my head up once. My head was down and I was smashing it square. And then I looked up, I saw him at the last second, panicked, fired it, almost hit him in the head, and it was an icing.
Right.
Not my best moment. And so the next day at practice, they unveiled the Reese Drill, which was basically just pick up a puck, do a circle, head up, headman pass to the guy streaking across the far blue line. And they did that drill in Kamloops for like a couple of years. I went back a couple of years later, and the guy was like, "You're Reese." One of the Blazers was like, "You're Reese from the Reese Drill." Ed Dempsey just hung that around my neck.
Eddie Shakamura. I love it. No, it's tough. It's tough when you get a drill named about you that is not a compliment. That's always hard.
Something has gone terribly wrong.
Like getting anywhere the foot, but kind of where that your foot and your leg kind of meet, that where it bends, and I take it there.
That's called your ankle studs. I'm not sure.
But on the front, not on the side.
I am not a doctor. I just play one on the radio sometimes. Struddy, thanks, my friend. We'll check in with you on Thursday.
Good show. Talk to you then.
All right, see you, pal. All right, you're listening to Got Your Back, presented by DLR Vinyl Products. Duthie and Dreger on the way. Hey, Struddy, question for you. Have you ever tried putting in your own fence?
I sure have. Between digging the posts, mixing up cement and digging the holes, it's absolute killer.
It's brutal on the back. Well, listen, what if I told you could put in a fence without having to dig a hole or mix any concrete?
I'd be much more likely to come over and help you out.
Yeah, well, you're not the first guy I would call, but thank you for that. Listen, my brother's company, DLR Vinyl Products, they've come up with a system where you can actually put high-quality vinyl fence in the ground without having to dig a hole, without having to mix any concrete. They can teach do-it-yourselfers how to do it, and they can also work with contractors who might be looking to start installing vinyl. It's super high-quality product. The great thing about it is that it has fantastic longevity. You put it in, you don't have to worry about staining or sanding or anything like that. I've been lucky enough, Struddy. They've put in multiple fences in my different yards and they've built me 3 decks. I have totally abused the fact that my family is in the fencing and decking business, but it's great product. Give Rob a call in Calgary or Rick a call here in Edmonton. This is a company my dad started. It's a family business. I'm super proud of it, and I'm very proud that they are our title sponsors. That's DLR Vinyl Products in Edmonton and Calgary. Hey, it's Ryan Rishaug. While many are feeling the sting of inventory shortages, Park Mazda has you covered. They've got new Mazdas arriving every month, including the redesigned 22CX-5 in whatever color you're looking for. They've also got a huge selection of used vehicles with new arrivals every week and some of the most competitive interest rates on cars, trucks, SUVs, and more. Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park, off Y Road. Schedule a test drive at parkmazda.ca. Time now for R2D2, brought to you by Belvan Construction. I don't think we're sticking with that. That didn't work at all, hey guys?
No,
was
it's never catching on, ever.
Was that supposed to be like an R2D2 theme intro?
Well,
it's like a scream.
It's kind of what it's. Yeah, that's when he goes screaming across the hallway.
Yeah, like again, you're not talking to 2 Star Wars fans, all right?
Okay.
It's off-putting.
Why don't you get my pal Lester McLean to write you a little like R2D2, like a little cute little jingle song? That's what he does for the.
No, I could do that. He doesn't do freebies for me though. You milk him for all the freebies he can give you. Yeah.
Yeah, but just slide in a DLR Vinyl Products or a Belvan Construction, and you're good to go.
All right, let's slide in that Belvan Construction. Duthie and Dregs, brought to you by Belvan Construction, specializing in the design, planning, and construction of restaurants, office spaces, professional clinics, and retail spaces. Visit belvanconstruction.com. I'm disappointed.
Do they do stone patios?
My sense is that they probably do. I can check with last one. I'm pretty sure you need one.
I have a stone patio at the back that, this guy put in a couple of years ago, and I thought it was, it's like limestone or whatever those fancy stones are. I don't know my stones. I'm not a geologist. And suddenly over the winter, like giant chunks of it fell off.
Ooh.
Giant chunks of stone fell into the ground.
That is? That's man-made stone. That's not natural product. You, my friend, got duped.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Yeah, you know what? Contractors and guys that do this stuff for a living, they must see you. I'll say you two coming 100 miles away, just dollar signs in their eyes and guys that won't have a clue.
Can I tell you a real quick story?
Yeah, that's what we do here on Got Yer Back.
The compound here is on the estate is on a large wooded lot. And
I've seen it. It's gorgeous. It's beautiful.
There was some dead trees when I got here, like some old, like maybe 15 dead trees that I had to get removed. Okay, so dead trees. So there was a guy on the street with he was doing it at a neighbor's house, had a big sign, John's tree removal or whatever. So he comes over and he's like, "Hey, yeah, TSN guy, yeah." And I'm like, "Could you quote me on removing these trees from the backyard?" So he goes back and he comes out and he goes, yeah, no problem. I can get that done for you. I go, "How much?" He goes, $36,000. I'm not kidding. That's not anything. I'm not kidding. I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, it's $2,500 a tree. You have 16 trees back there. So it's $36,000.
Well, they don't just cut them down and they disappear into the vapors. Like there's
okay, look, I know, but $36,000. Just let me finish. So I'm like, no. So I call, and he says to me, by the way, "Oh, if my son came out, by the way, I'm giving you a good deal. He'd give you It would be a lot
Oh,
higher. So I call another company out.
The good
next
guy
company
deal.
comes out, $18,000. I'm like, holy crap. I mean, that's a lot better, but holy crap. Third company comes out, $5,000.
Come on.
I'm not kidding. So that's what I got it done for. $5,000. The first guy quoted me $36,000.
My goodness.
People just make crap up.
No, tweet that
Sorry.
stuff.
I don't mean to scream and mess up your levels.
No, that's okay. Maybe he thought you were Bob Costas. Maybe that's what you had, Bob Costas money.
That's just that whole, I'm glad you have good companies, Belvan Construction, DLR Vinyl Products, good quality companies that don't just make crap up for commentators they think have money.
Yeah. Well, good for you for doing your research and at least not jumping, because I think a guy like you, I mean, do you do any projects at all, James? Like, what is your capability level? Could you change a light switch?
Yesterday, I moved my golf net from the basement to the garage, which included disassembly and then assembly.
Wow.
Ryan, do you have a simulator in your garage?
I don't. I would love to put one in there, though. Maybe the fellas at DeBoers can help me with that. I would love to have one.
Show of hands, how many people on this esteemed panel have a simulator?
So who has a commitment to the game of golf? I do. That's nothing. Look at. Don't act like you joke about my estate. I've seen your little, Brooklyn mansion before. So I start.
Yeah, I'm surprised when Buddy quoted you 36,000, you weren't just like
letting it rain. Can you get it done today? I'll pay 50. By the way, James, tell us the story about what happened with your simulator in your house. The roof was too
I
low?
made a mistake. It was during COVID. I panicked at the beginning of COVID. I looked at 2 years of desolate, no golf ahead or something. I didn't know where the world was going. I had a Mad Max type theory for it. So I panicked and I went out and bought it. Not a full simulator, just one of those sort of semi-simulators. And I forgot that my basement only had, 7-foot ceilings or whatever. It's an old house.
7-foot ceilings.
No.
So I got down there, I set up everything, and then I realized I could only hit a wedge. Anything else hit the ceiling.
So
and still the ceiling is lined with like marks and rips in it from me trying to hit a 7-iron.
Oh man.
Yeah. Garage works better.
Yeah, great stuff. I'd love to get the simulator in. Dregs, you got to be putting one in at some point too. Hey, that's happy. You're a Titleist guy, right?
Yeah, I am. But I'd like to have one. I don't spend enough time at home. I get out and I do things. I'm not as much a loner as James is. I like to have friends over. I socialize. So, and both my kids are, they're still dependents and they need cars. So I'd rather spend a little bit of money on my children than selfishly on myself in a simulator.
Are you suggesting James's kids are going without because of his simulator?
I have now my last child comes home from uni next week. I will have 5 vehicles in my driveway.
Yeah.
5 vehicels.
Brought to you by.
Yeah, can you get me like some sort of at least insurance deal,
No, I can get you a wicked deal on a Mazda at Park Mazda or a back patio from Belvan Construction. Okay, let's talk a little bit of sports here, guys. Let's serious it up a touch because we haven't had a chance to talk since the hockey world lost the legend that is Mike Bosse. I know you both met him extensively and knew him to a degree. Dregs, what's your takeaways from the life and legacy of Mike Bosse?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're repeating ourselves just out of respect and reality. I mean, Mike Bosse, for me at least, was the purest goal scorer the National Hockey League has ever seen. My recollection of watching him live is somewhat limited, but I recall I'm not quite as old as James, but when he crossed that blue line, the eyes would get like pie plates, right? And that was the one thing that defenders recognized. If, he had room to fire the puck, he never missed the net, almost never missed the net.
Yeah.
There was no high wide off the glass with Mike Bosse. Normally it was in the net. So in some regards, you talk to the greatest the sport has ever produced, like Wayne Gretzky, and he will tell you exactly that. In so many ways, offensively, Mike Bosse was a pioneer. And, often out of respect for those who have passed, we will say he was such a good human being, a great ambassador, just a good person overall. Well, that was Mike Bosse. And on top of all that, he was a gentleman. So, I don't recall the number of times that I crossed paths with Mike Bosse where he didn't have that symbolic smile on his face and a bit of a twinkle in the eye, right? So from a hockey perspective, right up there with the best of the best, no doubt about it.
So I grew up in Ottawa, which was the strange neverworld where you weren't kids who grew up in Toronto or Leaf fans, Edmonton Oilers fans, you're sort of born into a city, and the Senators weren't around back then. So I didn't really have a team. When I was a real little kid, I liked the Blackhawks, but Denny Potvin was the most famous player from Ottawa. And so he was my first guy I really loved. And so when he went to the Islanders, that became my favorite team, which ended up being a fantastic choice by me for all the cups they won in the 80s. But Bosse was always like, him and Trottier were my two favorite players. And when we started the NHL on TSN, when we first got the rights back in, I think 2002 or 3, we didn't have sort of regular panels. We'd try to have a different guest every week. And Bosse was in early, I'd say the first month of the season. So my first month as a hockey host, he came in. And for me, that was kind of, you talk about your welcome to the NHL moment. That was kind of my holy crap moment, because here was a guy I idolized, and now he was sitting on a panel with me and could not have been a nicer man. And I would usually see him only once a year. He would often show up to the Hockey Hall of Fame ceremony. And we'd introduce all the Hall of Famers at the end, at the book signing part. So just as Dreg said, just an absolute classy guy and a maverick, because, he refused to fight and sort of went on against fighting at a time when hardly anybody did. It wasn't chic back then. So, heck of a man.
9 straight 50-goal seasons, 573 career goals, and left a great legacy within the game. Okay, I want to talk about a couple of teams quick here, guys. I'm going to start with the Calgary Flames and Johnny Gaudreau. 85 even strength points he is sitting at right now, Dregs. What is this negotiation going to look like? Brad Treleving says, I will move heaven and earth. Well, he might need to throw in the entire universe as well, because this number just keeps going up, doesn't it?
No question about that. We're always careful when we throw out numbers, because you don't really know until you get to the place where you're swapping the parameters between the agent and the Calgary Flames. Now, the Flames have said all along, and this is through the guidance of the Gaudreau camp, that they weren't going to negotiate in season. And I think that at times has been perplexing for Treleving and the Calgary Flames, because you'd really like to get that thing going. And given the fact that Johnny Hockey has had an unbelievable year. I mean, we talk about some of the guys that slip under the radar a little bit, and he doesn't as much because he, plays for a Canadian team, obviously. But I think of Jonathan Huberdeau with the Florida Panthers. Should they be in the Hart conversation? Yeah, of course they should be. And Gaudreau should be part of that as well. I'm not saying they win it, either one of them, but they should be in that conversation. So you take all of that data and everything that Johnny Gaudreau has meant, particularly to that line. I mean, what's the number, fellas?
Yeah.
It's 10 for sure, and likely north. And I'm hedging. I'm hesitant because, there's this theory, this hope among, certain fan bases that, it's such a good team and he's going to have to leave a little bit of money on the table, so that they can continue to build and all of that. Okay, sure. That's really not the way the business goes anymore. So 10 feels light, but where is it north of 10? I don't know. I hope for Calgary's sake that they can get it done, because Johnny Gaudreau has been so good to the Calgary Flames, but he's also gone through some runs of adversity where things haven't been that great. So the fact that he's had the season that he's had, the Flames have enjoyed the year that they're enjoying. I mean, it's a better look for everybody, I think, if he stays.
I think that, he kind of tells the story of the Flames over the last, decade or so, where he broke in and it looked like he was going to be a superstar. I just dug up the numbers while Dregs was yammering on and on endlessly.
He did go long there. Yeah.
30 goals in his second season, 78 points in 79 games. And we're like, okay, this guy's going to be a superstar. And then, kind of like the team, there was some disappointing seasons in there. 18 goals 3 years ago in 70 games. 19-56 last year. I have great admiration for guys who can put it all together in contract years. I think some people roll their eyes and go, "Oh, it's a contract year, so this guy's having a great year." That's a lot of pressure, I think, and I think that this is who he will be for the next 5 years. I don't know how if he stays healthy, how long you can extend what is his prime, but it's got to be probably double digits in there, and like I said, good on him. He deserves it for the year he's had.
There's some scary contracts coming though, right? Like there is, and Gaudreau is the most obvious just because he's on an expiring deal. But we're not that far away from looking at Austin Matthews and the Toronto Maple Leafs, right? 2 seasons. What's that number going to look like? Jonathan Huberdeau with the Florida Panthers, and on it goes. I'll tell you, the salary cap needs to go up in a big way. We know that. It's effectively flat for next year. It's getting bumped $1 million, but there is going to be some hand wringing among owners and general managers trying to lock down these stars.
I'm going to read.
Rick, do you think there's ever any chance? I'm a big fan of the soft cap. I don't like. Look, I've come to terms with the hard cap, I suppose, but I still believe it would be a great way, to make more money for everybody if there was a really penile luxury tax. Yeah. And so you could keep guys and teams, the upper echelon teams could spend more, but if they spent a ton more, everybody would benefit by it. But do you think the hard cap is forever in the Gary Bettman world, or is there any chance in a future negotiation you could?
Yeah. In the Gary Bettman world, I don't think there's any chance of that happening. He's such, he's so rigid, and he's done extraordinarily well by the owners, of course. But you have to look beyond Gary Bettman. Our colleague Chris Johnson talking about what the succession plan is for Don Fear and the Players Association. Well, that applies to the commissioner's office too. So if we assume, right or wrong, that Deputy Commissioner Bill Daley will ascend to the throne, does he have a less rigid view of what a cap world looks like in the NHL? I like the idea of a soft cap. I like the idea of a franchise player. I like anything that gives clubs more financial freedom and flexibility. I guess the most obvious, unless you're diving deep back into revenue sharing again, is what about the teams that are cash sensitive, not poor?
I get
it. They just can't spend 25% on a franchise player that comes off the cap.
Just be a shame for somebody like Calgary when Gaudreau finally emerges and they're finally having success, and yet would have to lose a guy like that.
Yeah, for sure. The one thing to keep in mind with the Gaudreau situation, and I think he's past it. 99 points he had the 1 year, and I think he had 1 assist in the playoffs that year. That hung over him after a little bit here, so it'll be interesting to see what his follow through to a great season is in the postseason. Quickly, I'm going to read 2 quotes from Peter DeBoer from yesterday. This group doesn't have any quit. When you count them out, they bounce back and they get up and start swinging again. They have all year. I expect tonight to be a real good game for us. That was pregame. 3-2 loss to the number 27 team in the National Hockey League. In postgame, he's saying this time of year, we're looking for our guy to be better than the guy on the other end. And tonight, that wasn't the case. Went at Robin Lehner a little bit. Listen, I know there are those out there reveling in Vegas's struggles here, guys, and we like Peter DeBoer. He's an honest coach. This is a tough situation, and this team is crumbling at the wrong time, Dregs.
Yeah, no question. And everybody's wondering, well, the way it's looking now, they're not going to qualify for the playoffs. That was a devastating loss to the New Jersey Devils. It really was, because you look at Dallas and Nashville as we record, they have a game in hand. They have the points advantage quite obviously. So you can't let a game like that slip by. I was surprised by the post-game comment acknowledging Robin Lehner and the fact that he needed to be better than the other guy, and he wasn't better than the other guy. It's a 3-2 loss. It's not like the Vegas Golden Knights got thumped by a New Jersey team that, quite frankly, and I'm not saying that the Vegas Golden Knights took New Jersey lightly, but the New Jersey Devils are going to be a really good team in the near future. They are. They play a run and gun offense, and if you're even a little bit flat-footed, look out. So if Vegas misses the playoffs, what happens? You've got a real hungry owner there, and that's based on an incredible level of success right out of the gate. I hope for all involved that they just pump the patient brakes here, right? I mean, like all teams, they went through COVID. They had an unbelievable string of injuries where they had 10 plus regulars out of their lineup. So I think it's more of a chemistry issue and not having the group together than it is anything else.
Okay, James, you don't get a chance to chime on this one because Dregs gobbled up all your time, and we got a ridiculous game show that we got to play here, fellas.
Oh, no.
Yeah, this is happening. Time now for TMI. Too much information, brought to you by insert sponsor here.
I didn't know we were doing this.
Yeah, I know. That's why I didn't tell you ahead of time. The basic idea here is we're going to pick a topic and we're going to ask you two guys questions about it until things start to feel weird. Today's topic
it already feels weird with the music.
This is no good.
Yeah,
it's cringy.
I know. I actually paid money to license that song too. Maybe we should keep it going while we're doing the game.
How long did you stay up thinking of too much information?
Yeah, I thought about it for about 9 seconds. Similar to your some of your questions on the panel on the desk. Okay, today's topic is clothing, guys. Your closet floor right now. We'll start with you, Dregs. Clean or clothes piled all over it?
Middle. I like to lay my jeans on the floor of my closet, right underneath my suits. I don't know why. It's just
matter with you?
I'm too lazy to put them up top or on a shelf, so they lay on the bottom. But other than that, no, it's relatively clean.
We're going to need a picture
disgusting.
of that.
They're probably full of like spiders and rodents.
Hope so. I like
We're going to need a picture. Okay, James,
I'm
your
doing
closet
laundry
floor.
right now before I came on the Got Her Back podcast. I'm doing laundry, but my wife's is a mess, and her stuff it's littered with lingerie.
Oh, all right. That's too much information. Okay, wrinkled clothes. Grab the iron and deal with it, or shake them hard once and throw them on.
Well, I would never have wrinkled clothes because I get all my clothes laundered and they come back crisp. So, and I'm not ironing my boxers, so I don't know what I'd be ironing.
I have found a blow dryer on high heat works pretty well. I iron maybe a year, never happens.
Do you regularly use a house coat?
Never, not one time.
Never.
Not even in hotel rooms. Oh
No.
Jamie McLennan is the king of the house coat / robe. He believes he fancies himself Hugh Hefner. Like he'll be out on the street playing with his children in a robe.
Does he have a pipe?
I don't know if he's got a pipe, but I mean he gets home from work and immediately changes into a robe.
Yeah,
That's
weird. It's weird now. Now
that?
it's weird.
That's Hugh
Like
Hefner.
when you get the robe, is it the hotel room? Have you ever put on the hotel room robe?
No,
I've never ever done that.
I find they don't fit. They're too small, which is probably an indictment on
That's
a few things to do.
I'm
with
blue
me.
lighting that thing if I'm putting it on.
Do you fold your
not putting
underwear?
me noodles to wear it
Do you fold your underwear, or do you just pile them into the drawer?
into the drawer. Pile them in with the socks.
There is a cameraman, Dean Willers, who you all know, your listeners won't know, who I learned at the Masters one year, irons his underwear before he puts them on in the morning. Launders his underwear and then irons them.
I've seen it.
I'm like,
I've seen
Dean,
it. I've
why?
been in
No
Dean's
one
room
is
while he's
seeing
doing
that.
it.
Yeah, but I know. I want it to be crease free.
Can I quickly tell a story that will take us instantly to weird and cringy?
Yeah. Do you want the music while you're doing it?
Yeah.
Okay, here you
Speaking
go.
of Willers, in Russia, he was sick. He had a stomach bug. And to prove that he was sick, he may have taken some pictures of said underwear.
Oh no,
Do you have
that
them?
didn't happen.
It happened. I have them.
Why would he show you that?
I guess because, it's a world championship. It's heavy lifting. There's lots of work. And he just wanted us to know he was sick.
That is far too much information. I don't know. Oh, there's the applause. I was waiting for that. I tried to hit the applause button there.
That'll get a sponsor right there. That first segment of
Yeah,
it. Go
this
sell that
was-
sucker today.
This was TMI, brought to you by insert sponsor here, the game show where we get too much information. Guys, this was not a great segment. We'll try again on Thursday.
Get me a tree removal company to sponsor that sucker.
Okay, I'll see what I can do. I'll talk to Belvan. This was Duthie and Dragser, R2D2, brought to you by our friends at Belvan Construction. Who's Got Your Back is on the other side. Stay with us, folks. You're listening to Got Your Back, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. That was good timing. I didn't even know that was going to happen.
I thought that was brilliant.
Get the
I
post.
thought I was excellent today.
If you're a business owner looking for a general contractor to build or renovate your business, no matter how big or small, Bell Van Construction should be your first call. Specializing in the design, planning, and construction of restaurants, office spaces, professional clinics, and retail spaces, Bell Van can assist you from start to finish. Learn more by going to bellvanconstruction.com.
Folks, golf season is just around the corner, and I don't know about you, but I am some kind of fired up over it. It's the perfect time to get yourself fitted for new clubs or some great new apparel. Well, DeBoers has you covered for all of it. Their facility is first class with amazing TrackMan technology in their simulators and top-of-the-field fitting specialists. You can order now for spring delivery, and they've also got a bunch of new 22 apparel for you to go check out. It's a fantastic group down there at DeBoers. The shop has a great positive feel. I highly recommend you check them out on the corner of 53rd Street and 99th Avenue. DeBoers, helping you play better golf since 1999. Average Joe's Sports Bar in Sherwood Park has proudly served the community and supported minor sports in the area for almost 20 years. It's a great gathering place for sports fans. Average Joe's has massive big screen TVs, comfortable seating, and a friendly staff waiting to make your experience anything but average. Come check it out on Baseline Road, right next to Home Depot, or make a reservation by calling 780-417-1113. That's Average Joe's on Baseline Road in Sherwood Park. Time now for Who's Got Your Back, brought to you by DeBoers Golf Shop and Fitting Center, helping you play better golf, your local golf shop for the last 23 years. Got out to hit a bucket of balls yesterday. Oh, can't wait. And then woke up this morning to a light dusting of snow. Mother Nature and the golf gods butting heads these days, but soon enough. And make sure you go see the gang down at DeBoers to get yourself outfitted for the upcoming golf season. So today for Who's Got Your Back, we turn to the gridiron. You know, we're a couple months away from the CFL season getting underway, and for veteran members of the Elks, you have to think that this can't come soon enough. You know, last season was just so bad. There's no nice way to put it. And for the veterans on that team and the guys who have been in this city for a while, who care about this city and this organization, it has been a very tough run. So we went to defensive back Aaron Grymes, who checked in with us from his off-season perch. He talked to us about what has been recaptured here in town in recent months as the organization seems somewhat re-energized as they're heading towards a fresh season. And Grymes also shared with us a story about who had his back when he showed up to his first pro training camp with no shoes. Presented by DeBoers Golf Shop, here's Who's Got Your Back and Aaron Grymes. 7 CFL seasons, 6 of them as a member of the Green and Gold, the Double E. Aaron Grymes joining us. Thanks for taking some time, my friend. Whereabouts are you right now?
I'm out here in Moscow, Idaho. This is where I went to school at, Idaho Vandal, and it's snowing right now. So that's kind of getting to me, but I won't let it affect me.
Come on, you spent a lot of time in Edmonton. You can't tell me a little snow is going to rattle you.
I usually get out of there before it gets too cold.
Oh, man. You can't be that soft if you're going to spend time in this town, my friend. You know that. This is it's playoff time out your window.
That is playoff football out there.
Get out there. Go roll around, man. Go catch some balls out there. Take advantage, hey?
For sure.
Well, listen, thanks for taking some time. How are you feeling about coming back to this city and digging in again? Because I can imagine, Aaron, that a lot of you guys left with a really sour and gross taste in your mouth after last season. Is that fair?
Absolutely. That was, and that's probably putting it nicely. I'm extremely excited. I feel like there's an entirely new energy around the building that was, obviously needed, whether it be, the president or Chris Jones coming back to town and some familiar faces being back in that locker room. The energy and the buzz is definitely there. I'm excited to get up there and be a part of it. And we just got to make sure that, we make sure the on-field play matches the energy off the field.
Yeah, so let's talk about the off-field stuff a little bit here. You've dedicated a lot of your professional life to playing in this city. You know what the green and gold is about in this market. You know what it means to people. And I know you'll have to be a little bit careful about what you say here, and you want to be respectful, but how far away from the meaning of it do you think it got? And do you feel like it's heading back in that right direction?
Absolutely. It certainly got away a little bit. Some of the old, ways of doing things and the cultural ways and the ways of winning didn't quite always seem to be there at times. Maybe we can throw COVID in there. COVID maybe has something to do with that, whether it was community appearances or being able to see the fans out and interact, things like that. But I certainly feel like it's getting back that way. And I know that Victor himself has been very active on social media, trying to make sure that people feel welcome and that he brings back some of those old ways that people loved about Edmonton.
Yeah, very active on social media. He's kind of all over the place out there. But engaging with fans, engaging with the media, he's just all over it. You think that's what this market needs? Like, what's your read into that?
Absolutely, I think so. I mean, we're a community-owned team. It would be silly of us not to be active with the community and making sure that we are trying to create, I think in his words, he said, heroes in the community. A lot of us players growing up, we had those heroes that we looked up to from our local sports teams or, maybe Hall of Fame players across the country. So I think it's huge, for the fan base. I think it's huge for ticket sales. And I think it's huge for the players, an ability to give us, a chance to make a name for ourselves in the city and kind of create a home like I have with Edmonton.
So that's off the field. On the field, I think we both know that probably nothing's going to sell tickets better than winning football games. Chris Jones is back. What do you think he will immediately impact the most?
I say this all the time. At the very least, you can expect the Edmonton Elks to be competitive next year. Every single week, every single day in practice, Coach Jones brings that edge, right? That dog that you got to have, playing professional football. And if you're not willing to compete during the week during practice, you might as well not show up for training camp because that's not tolerated. The culture is competition, and competition brings out the best in everybody. I'm a firm believer in that. I know that's what he brings to the field, and he's got guys in the locker room to help create that culture.
How do you think, I have to follow up. I mean, that compete, I assume, wasn't there in the way that it needed to be for a lot of last season. And I know it was a down year and it was hard on you guys. As a leadership group, why do you think it got away from you guys in that way? And how do you, as one of the leaders, ensure that it's back again? Chris Jones aside.
Oh, certainly. I felt last year that there was times, whether it was myself or, I don't want to point fingers here, obviously. But there was times where it just we didn't feel competitive. If something bad happened in the game, the vibe was almost like, oh, here we go again. And that ain't something that I personally tolerate. And I know it's not something that the coaching staff is going to tolerate this year. And from a leadership perspective, it's something that you have to show first. You got to show it and you got to prove it, to some of these young guys, some of these new guys in Edmonton. And then once they feel it or once they see it, it becomes contagious. But leadership, in my opinion, starts from the top, and it's a top-down quality. So when you have the higher ups also showing that same competitive edge and that same leadership, it trickles down, and it's so much easier to get the locker room to buy in when they see it day in and day out.
How about for you personally? You had some major ups and downs last year. When you evaluate the way it went for you last year, how do you think you handled those downs? And what did you learn from those downs?
I think I handled the downs as well as can be, and I learned from them, I grew from them, things like that. If you want to be champion, a lot of people say the cliche, you got to learn how to lose. And gosh dang, I'll be darned if we didn't lose a lot last year. So just being able to learn from those mistakes and being in positions that you will do whatever you can to make sure you're not in again. And that we were in a lot of those positions last year. I was in some of those positions last year. And you take those, you learn from them, and you make sure that you're prepared for the opportunity when it presents itself again. And luckily, myself, I'm fortunate enough to be back for another season and right those wrongs. And so are some of my teammates. I know we're excited to be able to do so.
Yeah, I can definitely feel the energy in the city. We're a ways away from football season here, but there's definitely an energy in this city, and it's very different from when the season ended. Listen, Aaron, now the podcast is called Got Your Back. We love hearing stories from people about a time in their life where somebody kind of came through for them. So when I throw that idea at you, does something pop into your head right away? Who had Aaron Grymes back?
Man, there's so many people have helped me get to where I am right now.
Give us a story.
I'll go back to my rookie year. I had just signed with Edmonton, 2 weeks before training camp started. Of course, I'm the nobody international player coming into training camp, probably a camp body, most people were thinking. Anyways, you get an email. Everybody gets the email, and it says that, when you come to training camp, bring your own cleats and gloves. They get provided to you after you make the team. And I bring mine, of course, trying to do everything right. And this is my first professional opportunity. So I wake up this morning early. I got to go. I'm ready. I get to the stadium, and it's time to do the conditioning test. And I forgot my damn cleats in the hotel room. And, you're already fighting to make the team, right? So I'm like, I don't want to do the conditioning test with no cleats on. I'm going to look bad. I don't want to get cut because of it. So I go ask Dwayne Andrusiak, who is my guy now. Like, I love Weezy, man. A lot of respect for Weezy. But at the time, I was just a rookie kid with a ponytail asking for a pair of cleats, knowing damn well I got that email saying to bring your own cleats. I asked Weezy for cleats. Of course, he didn't give me the cleats. So he wasn't the one who had my back at the time.
He didn't come through for you. That's awesome.
No,
I can
Weezy
teach you a lesson.
I've been around. Exactly. And he taught me a lesson for sure.
Yeah.
He'd been around too long. He ain't falling for that one again.
Yeah.
So
that's
as
awesome.
I'm asking him, you know what I'm saying? Party's walking by, and he's seen the panic, like my face. And he was like, dang, bro, you forgot your cleats. I said, yeah, I forgot my cleats, man. I guess I'll just do it without them. And he
Aaron,
was
just
like,
pause for 1 second. Pause for 1 second because you broke up there. Who walked by?
Calvin McCarty.
Okay.
He walked by. And I think he's seen that panic in my face. So he asked me if I needed cleats. I told him, yeah. Well, what size do you wear? Well, Calvin's cleat size was like 2 sizes bigger than mine. But he was like, if you need a pair, go get into my locker. As a rookie, like, he didn't go get them from me. He said, don't worry about it. Just go get my locker, grab some cleats, and do the conditioning test in. So I had I'm a 10.5. I think Calvin was like a size 12. So I look like Bozo the Clown out there doing my conditioning test. But damn it, I had some cleats to do it in, and I felt good about it. Here I am, like you said, 9 years later, and I was actually just texting Calvin McCarty earlier today. So my man had my back, and I'll forever have his back for that too.
Yeah, and if I recall, you had a pretty good year too, I think, eh?
Yeah, I made the roster. I became a starter. I made a name for myself as a professional athlete with people like Calvin in my corner.
Who knows, man? Maybe you would have got sent home on day one for not showing up with the right stuff.
I'm saying I would have been slipping and sliding all over that turf looking like a fool.
That's awesome. Well, listen, Aaron, can definitely feel the energy from you. Can definitely feel the energy in the city. I think everybody's looking forward to a clean slate for the Edmonton Elks. Thanks for taking some time, and enjoy the next few months. Look forward to catching up with you when you get back here to town.
I appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you. I look forward to seeing all the fans there. As always, man, go Elks.
And a big thank you to Aaron Grymes for sharing that story and taking some time for us. We're all looking forward to a fresh start for the Elks. Just a couple of months away. So always good to squeeze in some football content. Remember, we want to hear your story as well. We will read them here on Got Your Back. Send them to our Average Joe's inbox. gybpod@gmail.com. We want to hear your story. Was there a time in your life where somebody stepped up, had your back, came through for you? Let us know. We're also going to do some giveaways here in the coming week. So if you've got a good story, we got some hats and stuff that we're going to start to give away. So send us a story, gybpod@gmail.com. That's our Average Joe's inbox. That's a wrap on episode 13. It was another fun one. Thanks for downloading and streaming, listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. It's much appreciated. Big thanks to our sponsors, my brothers over at DLR Vinyl Products, Park Mazda, Bell Van Construction, DeBoer's Golf Shop, and of course, Average Joe's Sports Bar in Sherwood Park. Eyeballing another podcast after the Oilers take on Dallas, so likely Thursday morning. Give us a download so you don't miss any episodes at all. Thanks for dialing us in, folks. Have yourselves an awesome day. Cheers.